You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. Mark covers all things Penn State football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as anything related to the sports and fitness world. Tune in weekly to listen to a couple of dedicated fans talk about these topics without filters. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
What's up, mateys? Welcome to the Mark Lesko Podcast. I'm your host, J-Rod, and this is Pirate Central. Well, guys, it has been a month into the offseason since the 2025 season has ended, and now we're moving on to the 2026 season. And, of course, the topic of the podcast for the first pitch subject is Pirates taking more chances on throwaway players. I mean, just take a look here at what the Pirates have been up to since the season has ended. So it starts out October 13th. The Pirates have claimed Will Robertson off waivers from the White Sox. And then that very day, they designated center fielder Ryan Kindler for assignment. Didn't even know this guy existed. But yet the Minnesota Twins did, because 2 days later, they claim him off of waivers. And then Dugan Darnell, we claim him off of waivers from the Colorado Rockies because, that's the next team you go to outside of Chicago. I mean, the whole team is just rich with options. So then, of course, you then choose the Rockies to go to next. That makes complete sense. And then, if I'm right about this, I think I just saw this article. We have, Andrew McCutchen on the 2nd of November has elected free agency. I mean, guys, it would just be a shame if the guy had one more season left in him and he decided to go somewhere like Detroit or New York or, again, good luck finding a place that's going to want to use a 39-year-old guy. But I know we would have, but they chose to just let him walk. I mean, there's still some time in the offseason. Maybe they will bring him back, but we're hoping that a 39-year-old guy comes back to us. That's where we are at with this organization. And, of course, Tommy Pham, 37 years old, decides to do the same thing, elected free agency. And then the next day, the Pirates have signed free agent right-handed pitcher Darlin Magia to a minor league contract. And then the next day, we are putting Michael Castillo to a minor league contract. That name sounds familiar. Let's see if I bring this guy up. Does he have? Nope, he has no stats. Of course not. This is an unknown guy. Castillo. I'm like, I thought I heard that name before. And then you have Hector Perez signed to a minor league contract. Yep, of course, an unknown. No one's ever heard of the guy. And, of course, Pittsburgh sent Javier Peguero outright to Indianapolis Indians. And the New York Mets claimed the waiver of D1 Bay from the Pirates. And then Jack Little gets wavered, claimed off for the Detroit Lions. Tigers. Still on the football stuff. Pittsburgh Pirates select the contract of Ryan Harbin from the Indianapolis Indians in the 6th. And the Pirates designate Michael Durrell Hicks for assignment. And then Ronnie Simon comes off the 60-day injured list. Emmanuel Valdez, same thing. Dugan Darnell gets off the waiver injured list. And then Andy Rodriguez injured list. Jared Jones, of course, gets off the injured list. And he'll be in assignment until probably May or June, until we see him, if we ever see him. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate or try to say anything negative, but you just get this feeling that, the guy's going through Tommy John surgery and, months and months and months. And, the whole system, goes through the rehab assignment and everything. And he goes, and next thing when he comes back, he'll just go right back to the injured list, or he'll have a relapse of some sort. Like you just feel it coming where, he'll be out for 2 years and he'll somehow get traded. We won't ever hear about it. Like, they won't make a big moment, but it just seems like no matter how much you think that they can not care. They just apparently just do it with so much flair. It's unbelievable, guys. I don't know how anyone can stand this franchise that wants, anything good. But again, I made the decision. I'm loyal to this team no matter what. I can't control who's in charge. I cannot control that. I wish we had a say on who was in charge, but we don't. So I want this team to be successful, but obviously they chose to not. And of course, this Dugan Darnell was designated for assignment again when he was taken off of the injured list after 60 days, because that makes complete sense. And then finally, we send Michael Darrell outright to Indianapolis Indians because no one apparently wanted to pick him up. Yeah, that's really all it is. There's just been a slew of these little tiny, picks and talks here and there. Guys getting claimed off waivers. I think the Reds just recently got rid of some guy that we picked up, and they said they're going to take a chance on the guy. I mean, if you ask me, I think the guy's taking a chance on us, if you say it correctly. We just know that all we're going to be doing is bottom feeding, not doing anything spectacular. I mean, if anything, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving away guys that we shouldn't be. If you're trying to be competitive, you don't give away, these particular players. I saw that, the Red Sox are interested in Mitch Keller, and Dennis Santana could go to the Astros or the Dodgers or something like that. And what will we get for it? I mean, it seems like absolutely nothing. You think that we're going to make some great trade, but all this GM is doing is just taking orders from the top, and we're just giving them away without any kind of return or anything, because this is what this GM has been doing now for the past decade almost. I mean, he has been here for almost about 7 years, and he just continues to make bad choices intentionally. This is just what we've been dealing with. We have absolutely no real competitive nature. We have everything that can be traded away, or anything that's talented gets traded away, and it doesn't stay. It's completely abysmal. It's crazy how this organization continues to just have me say the same thing over and over again, like some record. But the whole attitude of the MLB, is just like no one questions it. No one tries to make anything different. There's no rules or regulations that say, like, every team needs to try to at least be competitive. I mean, I understand that sometimes financial circumstances make it tough, but they're choosing to make it tough. And it just stinks that the MLB cannot intervene, or they have no, some built-in rule where everyone has to have this particular spending and or competition. Again, they know they don't want to be competitive, and it seems like the MLB supports the organization for acting the way it does. I don't know what else to say about it. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous how you hear these little stories about, oh, we just picked, a guy from the White Sox, from the Rockies, and maybe, again, the Reds don't want this guy because, we'll take him, and we're happy to take the leftovers. We don't care to actually enter the buffet and or the 5-star restaurant. No, we're happy with just eating the scraps out of the garbage. That's, this ownership is just a bunch of rats. Just a bunch of rats in the garbage, picking at anything they want, and just that's what they're satisfied with, man. It's a darn shame. It is. There's still time. There's about 2 weeks or 3 weeks left until they have their winter meetings. I'm waiting on that. Hopefully by then we'll know whether the Pirates are going to try to trade away anything promising. There's always that chance to make you just go. They always never disappoint to show up in that regard, to make us just go. It's the life of a Pirate fan. But with me moving on to my 7th inning stretch conversation, I wanted to talk a little bit about the National League Central breakdown, just to take a look at our other 4 teams in the division because as it looks going into it, if I heard these stories correctly, Imanaga was not picking up his option to be with the Cubs, and he elected free agency. I don't hear any news on the Cardinals. There's been no talk. I haven't heard any kind of like pickups or anything that's, major. The Reds, I know that they sound like they're going to try to take the next step and push and try to get more players this coming year. And then the Brewers, I think they lost some players to free agency. I'm not sure which ones. I know there was a couple of pitchers, and they don't have that closer because he went to the Yankees in the offseason last year. I mean, still won the division, still had a fantastic run at it. So they were close than anybody in our division. They went the furthest in the playoffs. But, again, it seems like it doesn't matter for the Brewers. I mean, they say about like, oh, they're going to lose some players, but I think that sounds to me like, okay, so they're going to finally start to collapse and or come back down to earth. But no, the organization always finds a way to bring in players or, coach them and put them in the best situation to be competitive every single year. It is remarkable the job that Matt Arnold and his staff have done to acquire either players or evaluate them, make sure that they are like the best versions, and they're always like making noise in the NL Central every single season. Either they're trying to be a playoff team or they're trying to win that division, guys. I do apologize if you hear that in the background. I had a lot to do today, guys, and I apologize it's happening right now. But the this whole division seems like it has a lot of shakeups every single offseason, and there's no clear-cut winner. I thought the Cubs were going to be that team that moved forward, but they're losing a big pitcher, and I don't know if there are more names that are moving outside of that. It's still anyone's division, in my opinion. It is easily the worst division in all of baseball. It's one of the worst divisions in baseball. I mean, maybe the AL Central, maybe. Or possibly maybe the AL West, maybe. Again, there's if there's 2 or 3 teams more, then I can't say it. So it seems like either the Centrals, the AL or NL, whatever. This is a great opportunity to try to take advantage of that. And again, we are happy to always be last place for this division. We always like to be a stepping stone for everyone in it between Cincinnati, Chicago, St. Louis, and Milwaukee. I mean, I think Chicago and St. Louis are the only real, budget-friendly teams. I mean, the Reds, they can spend money, but they kind of try to keep it around $100 million. And I know the Milwaukee Brewers, they're like 90, 100 million, if that. Everyone in the Central seems like they spend around what you should. And of course, a little more with the Cubs. But the Pirates, they're all right there all the time. But they refuse to make any kind of move, any kind of push. I just cannot believe that this, again, league allows an organization to have someone like Paul Skeens in it and not kind of forcing this team to make moves to be competitive. I don't care if the guy's eventually going to leave, and then they'll support the guy even more, but it's just crazy to know that this all is going to transpire again with the 2026 season. But the whole league just is kind of bracing itself for, again, this lockout that's coming. So we know that there's potentially just going to be 1 year left before this lockout happens in 2027. I know that we have so much we have to clean up. It's just a lot. It's a mess. But that, again, that's self-induced. We all know that the Pirates are infamous for just not being anything that's relative or trying to be more than what they had been. They went down with their record this year, was 71-91. And yeah, it's a step down from the last 2 years where they were close, but they fell apart in the end of the season, like always. Not trying to get even a winning season, and not even trying to make a push for the playoffs. You had Paul Skeens for 2 years, and we just seem to always be gone. But again, there is something different this year than there has been ever since Ben Sherrington took over, and that is Don Kelly as the head coach or the manager as opposed to Derek Shelton. I think Don Kelly has to be about 2 or 3 steps above what Derek Shelton was bringing in terms of enthusiasm, in terms of leadership. He's actually trying to make guys listen and do stuff. It's a nice change of pace for what this team is very much lacking, which is kind of ownership and trying to do something. So a guy like Don Kelly, it's great that he is a native and he, is head coach or manager of this team. It's encouraging. It's a nice piece, but now the next step is acquiring something that makes you relatively competitive. Again, everyone else in this division, you're looking at potentially the Reds doing something next year and going all in. And who knows, again, the Brewers might show up once again. The Reds, the Cubs, like they're a rich team. They know how to spend money. They can go out and acquire guys if they want to. And the Cardinals, they have really been it's just as much of a disappointment as the Pirates. And I never thought that would be the case. I thought St. Louis was one of the richer teams in baseball as well. They have such a rich history, but these last 4 or 5 years, they've just been kind of abysmal. Kind of the same thing with the Pirates. They just do not make any push. They don't try to improve. I haven't heard anything this offseason either for them. So that's really what it's really going to be about. Just waiting and trying to go in the next few months. We're waiting for spring training, seeing what the team can give you. We're so close with the pitching staff. It's ridiculous that we have so many good names, but here Mitch Keller may be gone, Santana may be, released, and now we won't have a closer again. Now we will have someone else in our rotation. We'll be right back to square one all over again. Simply because these players are going to be asking for, I think in Mitch's deal, he'll go somewhere to 16 million or 17. Like, dear God, we can't have that. We can't pay a player that much money. We're not ancient Greece. This isn't Julius Caesar. We don't have all the riches and all the land. That's just really how their attitude is. Heaven forbid you spend $17 million on a player. Isn't that like the minimum on the Yankees or something? That would insult the lowest paying Yankee. And here, this is like the richest guy in Pittsburgh's rotation and the entire roster. You can pretty much buy everyone's dinner for the rest of the year. But yeah, that they're going to try to unload him because, again, it's too much money. They want to say they're going to lower the payroll just because, again, this weight is too much to deal with. And again, they're just kind of waiting for the lockout to happen. And then it will be forced to spend money because they'll be getting the money. They'll be sharing all the revenue. They'll be getting a lot of that cut. And so then they'll be more than happy to spend all the money, which, I can understand why basically more than half the league would be irked if this system were to be put in because, again, they're the ones who actually put the effort in. They're the ones who actually know how to do the system right. And they actually pay their players, and their fans love them for it, and they make money doing it. We don't do that. So I can understand why more than half of the league wants to basically, not do the system or the salary cap because it would mean that teams that don't do any work to improve or make any, but they'll get money too. It's just not right. It is not, and I hate it, but it's the only thing that's going to make the team competitive, guys. So closing this out, guys, I'm going to end it with talking about, of course, the Cy Young award that is coming up this week. I think it's Wednesday. Today's the 10th, which would make that the 12th. And, more than likely, Paul Skeens will be announced as the Cy Young winner for the National League. I do anticipate Skubal being the AL. It's a bittersweet thing to know that the Pirates will have a Cy Young winning pitcher. I know that Garrett Cole did have some. I don't know if he did it with us. I'm completely I think I'm blanking on that. I don't think he ever did, but I know he came close on votes. Yeah, this would be, of course, well-deserved. Another accolade for Skeens. You just got to wait for this guy to start doing some spectacular things again this year. I mean, listen, he had a really, kind of rocky sophomore season, and yet still was one of the best, pitching displays. He really wasn't himself from the year before. When he came in as a rookie, he was completely explosive, and it wasn't as explosive, and just because the record was not complimenting what he was doing, but he still went out there and gave you some of the best numbers in all of baseball, which is why he's winning the Cy Young. It's just criminal that this dude is doing everything he can to make this team relevant, and they just would rather eat grass. I mean, they rather just sit in the backyard, pull out the weeds. It's what they are doing, guys. Year in and year out. You wish you had something a bit different to talk about, but this is what they give us. So in closing, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. I love doing this, and I will see you guys next week, and we're going to again talk about who won the Cy Young. It should be Skeens, but we'll get into what we'll talk about. But until then, guys, hope you have yourselves a great night, and hey, let's go Bucks.